How the heck does a tiny-ass town in one of the world's smallest countries in the middle of nowhere get known internationally as the adventure capital of the world? I mean, there's only 29,000 residents in Queenstown, and somehow 2.4 million people came through the airport last year and spent almost $3 billion. They're making like $10,000 per day minimum. That's like $300,000 per month. That's almost 1% of the entire New Zealand economy. That just goes to show how much money is moving through Queenstown. Holy crap. That's exactly the question I've been asking myself since I was here a few years ago. I'm actually on a quest today to figure out how it got this name. And since this time around I can't afford any of the activities, following this mystery seems like the best way to go on an adventure without spending heaps of money. And to start out my journey to figure out why, I'm actually at now. If you've been following me at all, you'll know that I willingly put myself in seemingly dangerous situations all the time. I've sailed 1,200 nautical miles across big oceans. I've gone deep into old mines, camped in the dead of winter, and solo hiked 25 kilometers across Great Barrier Island. So I am especially excited about this first stop because I'm pretty sure I have finally found my limit. And I'm wondering if seeing it in person will have an impact on my aversion to taking part. And to start out my journey to figure out why, I'm actually at Kawa Bridge, which is the first spot where bungee jumping was ever commercialized in the entire world. Now, my New Zealand friends, I'm really sorry to break this to you, but it is not where bungee jumping was invented. In fact, that first time that bungee jumping, as we modern day know it, was ever done was in England, I believe in 1979 in Bristol. But this is where it was commercialized. This is where people started to believe it was safe. This is where the bungee jumping record started to be shown that it could be like a sport that people could pay for. So let's go check it out. When I arrived, there was a chick on the bungee platform ready to take the leap. And well, I was watching as she smiled from one camera to the next, and I literally could feel my heart racing. My breath became short and my body tensed up. Just watching her, I could suddenly feel the rush of adrenaline as she plummeted down to the river. What blows my mind is how quickly it was all over. But then, theoretically, she'll be feeling that high all day. You can hear everyone screams as they're going down. I think I could go skydiving, but for some reason, bungee jumping just scares the bejesus out of me. I don't know, just, it's not even that much distance. It's not even that high, but it really does scare me. Would you go bungee jumping? Now, while my choice to not make the leap does not mean I am sane, you should absolutely question my sanity. I am definitely way more sane than the two guys who came up with this crazy operation in the first place. It was two friends, AJ Hackett and Henry Van Ash. Apparently they had been going around the world. They'd been seeing people bungee jumping, so they actually paired up with Auckland University to test out a bunch of different types of bungee cords. And then when they found the one they liked, the year previous, in 1987, I think it was the AJ Hackett guy, he jumped off the Eiffel Tower illegally as like a publicity stunt. And then they opened the bridge here a year later. And that publicity stunt got such attention on bungee jumping that people flooded from all over to try it out. Brilliant. So began the commercialization of bungee jumping. However, my personal aversion to the sport has not wavered, and standing here watching other people go on their adventure is making me want to go on my own. And while I've been watching them, I have been wondering, why did people come here in the first place before adventure tourism? I am 15 minutes northeast of Queenstown right now, sitting in almost the exact spot where gold was found in 1862. Of course, gold. The gold rush made heaps of towns pop up all over the world. And as you can imagine, that brought a whole stream of people to this area. As I'm walking around town, I'm trying to imagine if I would follow the gold rush and live in a small town like this. I mean, it feels like it would be super risky, but potentially very, very rewarding. So at its height, there were about 6,000 people here that were mining for the gold, but 3 years later in 1865, pretty much all the gold was taken. There was nothing left here, and everyone left. I felt a rush of adrenaline as I thought about how risky it would feel, but how the gold rush would allow me to dream of a better life. And how chasing that possibility then is very similar to me chasing the success of this YouTube channel now. And the people that stayed in Queenstown, Arrowtown area, well, they were the adventurers. So just by virtue of how pretty it is to be here, I mean, you can see just gorgeousness all around me. Gorgeousness, is that a word? Anyway, people came from all around to do trekking, hiking, camping, all sorts of things. And coaches were coming through here to do the Milford Sound Tour, right? So it was already kind of an adventure hub here, but only in the summer months. As much as I love history, it doesn't exactly fill you with feelings of exhilaration and being fully alive like our last stop. There's only so much information about the gold rush that you can take in before your brain just stops. Additionally, based on what I've read, at this point in history, there's still not a lot of adventure infrastructure, and my brain's been wondering what took them over the line. It turns out the answer is about to take me 10 years back to Colorado in 2013. So on to our next spot, where I show you where adventure tourism actually started to really take off here in New Zealand. I am standing outside New Zealand's first ever ski resort, Coronet Peak Ski Resort. And I would go inside, but it looks like they're doing a bit of remodeling in there. So unfortunately, I'm just gonna stand in this little cove here and protect myself from the crazy wind out there. The last time I was at a ski resort, I had just been gifted a snowboard from my cousin, and I bought a season pass to Arapahoe Basin. I was a poor student in graduate school, so I got all my gear used and I cheaped out on lessons. But I did it. Twice a month or so, I went up the mountain all alone and went down the greens and blues. I would head into the Hilltop Lodge and grab a beer or hot cocoa to warm up. Not gonna lie, I am very disappointed that I will not be enjoying a hot cocoa and overlooking the hills today. However, as I'm soaking in this memory and looking out over the resort, I found myself imagining what the first skiers must have experienced here before it was built up. Suddenly, a thought occurred to me. How the heck was skiing brought to New Zealand in the first place? I mean, seriously, how? So skiing actually started in the area in the 1860s because Norwegians, the gold miners who came here to take part in the gold rush, they would ski back and forth between their digging sites and their homes. And of course the locals were like, oh, that's a great idea, we're gonna do that too. So people started skiing, and over time it became like a recreational sport. And Coronet Peak, right here where we are, was one of the places where people were already skiing. I'm super disappointed that I would not get the chance to enjoy the ski resort. Even in the summer, it's one of my favorite places. If I'd planned ahead with some food, maybe I would have hiked to the top of the mountain. But alas, Mr. Google is telling me the next stop on our journey might fulfill that need, as well as reinstate some of that adventure adrenaline I've been seeking. It is so windy that I had to get in the car in order to talk to you guys, so... Anyways, the guy Bill Hamilton who invented the ski lift here at Coronet Peak, he's actually way more famous in Queenstown for inventing something else that's completely like, I don't know. Let's go have a look, I'll show you. Behind me in these canyons is where the jet boat operates here, which was the other invention by Bill Hamilton. The way it works and why it's so famous is because these boats with just two V8 systems basically sucks water through a jet propulsion system rather than using like a propeller like a regular boat, which means it can go on water that's like 3 to 5 centimeters deep, and it can go up to 95 kilometers per hour. So bungee jumping might not be my thing, but this would definitely be my thing. Unfortunately, it's pretty expensive and I'm still not bringing in a regular income, so I will not be doing this. And between the shot over jet, rafting, paragliding, all these other adventure sports just kind of like started coming in runs, and quickly Queenstown became a hub. So now I know how Queenstown became the adventure capital of the world. I have questions swirling in my head about what Queenstown is like today. However, it's been a long day of taking in heaps of information. The area around me is breathtaking, and I'm craving a peaceful, serene moment just soaking in the mountains. All right, I want to be completely honest with you guys about something that I'm feeling a little weird about, to be honest. So you will know from, if you've watched a lot of my videos, that I stopped drinking for a long time. I want to tell you that this will be one of my last beers for a while. 4 months in total. So I quit from, I think it was August 1st all the way through to November 24th or something like that. It's a big part of like how I grew up, to be honest. The reason I'm being transparent about this is because I'm actually at Canyon Brewing Company and I am going to go have a beer. I will say overall that I was surprised how happy consistently I felt when I didn't drink. And when I started drinking again, I felt like the amount of energy I have been spending on the choice of whether or not to drink is pretty high. With that information in mind, you might be like, well, why don't you fucking stop drinking? It's personal, and I think that anyone's journey with alcohol is personal. An elderflower saison. It's delicious. The next day, I have a wander around Queenstown, and I'm eager to find out what Queenstown is like today. The city center is absolutely bustling, with performers capitalizing on the tourism. Around every corner is a shop enticing you to go on an adventure. There's Patagonia, Macpac, Kathmandu, all on one street. That's how you can tell it's an adventure spot. The guy at the front desk, I asked him how many bookings he gets per day, and he said anywhere from 50 to 100. And the things that you can buy here are around like, what, $200,000, $600,000? So I guess, just off the top of my head, doing a bit of math, that they're making like $10,000 per day minimum. That's like $300,000 per month. Pretty freaking incredible. And there's like, every single corner, there's 3 or 4 different shops where you can book things, so that just goes to show how much money is moving through Queenstown. Holy crap. Touristy and busy are not my happy places, and I'm guessing many of you are on the same page that adventure is facing nature and overcoming unexpected obstacles. So my last question on my last day in Queenstown, are there possibilities for adventure that aren't costly and away from the crowds? After a quick Google search, I found an iconic walk just on the outskirts of the city, and I set off on my adventure. As I was walking along, I imagined myself as one of those original settlers. For me, huffing and puffing my way up these hills is magic. I enthusiastically choose hard hikes just for the endorphins and dopamine as I come across a wild animal or a spectacular view that I had to work for. And this hike is giving me exactly that. When I got to the top, I thought about what those men and women might have been like that created Queenstown. It took a lot of really proactive people who were like entrepreneurs. They were go-getters. They were people who were like pursuing things and trying to start something new from scratch. And I can appreciate and resonate with that kind of feeling. And I think it's cool when people kind of like are willing to create something completely from scratch. I often think that people underestimate their power to do what they want, the power to make the change that they desire. the power to make the community that they've never had. For a long time, I thought I was powerless. And when I finally figured out that I am the person that's in control of my life, everything changed. And look at what these people in Queenstown did. They created this massive, world-renowned city for adventure. Just because they had an idea they followed through on. It's cool what they built here. It's cool what it's become. It's cool how it's a hub and people want to come here. And I, as an American who's almost ready to become a Kiwi here, I'm proud that New Zealand is known for so many things, so many like new creations, and like the jet boat and the fact that it's like the adventure hub. I'm proud of that. So I think overall feeling good about things.